Now on the GC side, though, you pretty much acted as the GC, so you put that
I did
time in
not.
it. So you hired someone, and they did the whole GC, and you just kind of
So I did.
bridged it
I
between
did
the.
manage to find a GC who is a working GC. So he does do a lot of the carpentry work, a lot of the framing work, does contract house stuff, obviously, but he was a working GC. So it wasn't just I'm going to come pop in on your project once a week kind of GC, which was definitely taken into account when I was running the numbers on it. And, the initial estimate for the rehabs, we're at 25,000, 28, 29. So, I mean, we were right in that ballpark. So we wound up almost, 20,000 more than that. And it's plumbing issues that were incorrectly done in the past, stuff that wasn't up to code, stuff that I wanted to eliminate any sort of fire risk. And on top of that, I'm finishing a lower unit. And so with my other rentals, I've learned I hate water. I absolutely hate water. So any sort of water remediation, protective I can do on a lower level of a house, I'm going to do it. So I redid a lot of the plumbing and we installed an injection pit. And as you guys know, you got to dig up some concrete down there. I mean, there's some scope of work changes that came up as to how in depth we want to go with waterproofing everything. Because you don't want to go dump, that level of money into it and then have it fall apart with a whole bunch of water damage. I mean, overall, I do think that was, a home run for my first value add. Absolutely. Before that, I was very timid about going into that value add because it's a very complex structure, as you guys know. I mean, you're kind of combining a flip with a buy and hold. And there's a lot of avenues, especially with that cash out, where things can go a little wrong at the end if you don't have those ARV numbers completely correct.
Yeah. So let me jump in here for Zach. So a couple comments on that. So one, you put yourself in a financial position where you were able to do traditional financing there too. So on your first deal, you didn't have to use an acquisition line or a hard money line, which takes a lot of the pressure off, right? The project goes along. There's no one coming in 12 months saying, hey, you owe us back the principal. Like you set up a little bit more guideline there. And if you have that luxury, I think that's a great strategy. So I want that. And then I want to talk about these change orders here, because it's also something that's mixed. A lot of times the contractor will just, no, this was the scope of work. I'm just going to keep going. You told me this. Like a lot of times going over budget is actually a good thing. You uncover what you need to take care of and do it. So talk through those conversations. Did he say, hey man, we have an issue here, we need to take care of this? Or was it more you saying, wait a minute, like talk through that nuance? Because I think that's a very important point. And people usually just get frustrated when in reality, hold on, this can be let's figure out the right answer here. Throw the spreadsheet aside for a second. Like we need to get this right.
So, I mean, for me too, I'm huge on my network and I'm huge on relationships. And maybe that's the Chicago in me that's rubbed off the last 15, 18 years, but I'm just huge into the relationships and I lean on those relationships quite heavily. So the GC I chose, he was not someone who was, new to me. He's someone I've known for 10, 12 years and I have a good relationship with and I trust him. And I did kind of, I gave him the general synopsis of what was going to kind of happen with this property and where my budget was. But I also did tell him he knows from my previous rentals because he maintains my other previous rentals. I don't do any maintenance on any of them. Unless it's something outside related with trees or landscaping, I don't do anything with it. So he does the majority of it. He knows I'm a very risk adverse when it comes to water damage and water intrusion. So things that came up along the way, he would make a phone call to, and luckily with, most of my properties are pretty local and I have a lenient schedule. So I was able to kind of pop in there and get, hey, pros and cons. What are we looking at? Are we looking at 2 year? This could break. Are we looking at, it could break in 10 years, and you really have to, excuse me, kind of weigh out what's important to you as the landowner. Are you going to hold it for 5 years? Are you going to hold it for 2 years? Are you going to hold it for 20 or 30 years? For me, I want to hold the majority of what I'm going to buy for 20 or 30 years, 40 years. So, if I have plumbing issues that could be an issue in 5 years, but they're not now, but it's going to be cheaper to do now, I'm going to do it. It's kind of front loading the investment with any sort of potential repairs. So I'm not getting those middle of the night phone calls as much anymore.